Hi, everyone. Well, pleased to be here with Dani to talk a little bit about LATAM. It's a pleasure to have you guys here to discuss that and have the chance to meet each other as well. I think the main purpose of this stage is also to gather Latinos, not only Latinos, but people interested in the Latin American market. Very promising market, lots of things going on. So the idea here is to change a little bit. We're going to discuss. I think we also need a little bit of interaction from you guys. So if you have any doubts and if you want to say or express your ideas towards what we're talking here, will be great as well. So just to present myself, I'm Bruno Diniz. I'm based in São Paulo, Brazil. I have a consulting firm called Falam. Besides that, I also run a podcast called Fintech Talks, and I'm a teacher at the University of São Paulo, teaching mainly innovation and financial innovation. So I'm here with Dani.
Yes.
Lascurain from Zumma. So Dani, to start, I think it's also good to understand what Zumma does, and tell me a little bit about you, and then we can.
Yeah, definitely. So very happy to be here with everyone. Very happy to be sitting next to Bruno, a fintech expert, which I can ask any question about the market and he will know. Really quickly about myself, I'm the co-founder of Zumma. Zumma is a CFO copilot that automates and simplifies every aspect that manually do the finance teams, starting with expense management and expense invoicing in Mexico, saving teams more than $4,000 of taxes per employee. So yeah, happy to be here.
Fantastic. Well, so Dani, just to start, I think it's good to understand a little bit about the landscape in Latin America. So do you have a few numbers about Latin, about Mexico, how the fintech sector is progressing there? We know that there are lots of talks on regulation, the open banking regulation. So I would like to know from you a little bit of how is it going, also in the instant payment side with Cody. So give us a wrap up of what's going on in Mexico right now.
Lots of questions there. Maybe just to start, for people that are not from Latin America that want to know more about the sector, there's around 3,000 fintechs in Latin America. This is a sector that has grown over 340% since 2017. And about Mexico, well, I mean, same as Brazil, it's been one of the sectors that has received the most funding from startups. And additionally, it has been growing immensely the past few years. Of course, there's a lot of challenges, which is what makes it fun to be a fintech in Latin America, starting with regulation. You mentioned open banking, which I know that Mexico was one of the first countries that actually started to talk about open banking. But few years later, it's still something that we're hoping it will become reality at some point. But right now, it's still far from true. I know that in Brazil, this is something that has gone up more rapidly. I don't know if you have anything to say about the open banking space in Brazil.
Definitely. We're already seeing the impacts of it. So the implementation is not trivial. What Brazil did based a lot on the UK experience. I think the hardest part is trying to get everyone involved. So we have like a big banks along with fintechs and everyone to find a common ground. It got to be mandatory. So I had lots of conversations in the region, especially from Brazil. I had these conversations in Colombia as well. And the main problem is they said, okay, what do you think was the main factor, Bruno? What do you think was the main factor of success for Brazil? Is the fact that it's mandatory. And the Colombians, some few people from the regulators, they said, oh, so yeah, we really need to consider that into advancing this scope of open finance. And now Brazil, it's growing. We still have we had some issues in terms of data quality, things like that, but it's continuously being monitored. It's the implementation phase, like 4 phases since 2020. But now we are advancing. But besides that, we also have the instant payment side, which the combination between the two things, the PIX, which is our instant payments infrastructure, along with open finance, can deliver like many new experiences in the market. But you also had in Mexico Cody and other experience. But we've been talking in the speakers lounge. You said you're not very optimistic, but I want to understand your views on that. Why you think like both open banking and also the conversations on instant payments is a little bit trickier in Mexico.
I mean, I think something that works really well in Mexico at this point is SPAY. SPAY, all the instant transfers are done immediately, no problem. But there's been some implementations, as you mentioned, like Cody by the government, which haven't been implemented correctly by the institutions and also by the end users. So we haven't seen something like PIX come up into our market. I understand that PIX has 72% penetration on the Brazilian population, something like that.
Yeah,
so we haven't seen that on our side in Mexico. Hopefully soon we'll see. And I think one of the factors that has made it hard for this to be implemented has been that it's not mandatory. So I think a lot of the challenges we see is that if something becomes mandatory, people start adapting to it. If not, banks, especially traditional banks, will keep going the way they've been doing for the past decade or so.
Yeah, it demands a lot of regulatory effort for things to proceed in this sense. We're seeing that in the US. I think there are lots of conversations around here at the event about open banking. How is it progressing? It's coming. Regulation is start to happen here on that, but it's a jointly effort. So we need an ecosystem for that to work, and that's another tricky part of that, to try to conciliate all those aspects. Danny, talking a little bit about also opportunities, and I also would like to open up for audience sooner here as well. What are the other opportunities you see in terms, like looking to 25 next year? We're about to finish this year. What are the main opportunities like in Latam you see sub-segments specifically?
I mean, I think there's still a lot to be done. Historically, lending was the first product that came into the fintech market in Latin America. I think that was the product that we were needing the most. And we still see a lot of companies that come up into this sector and still become very profitable with new technologies to be able to give better credit. But where I see a lot of opportunities on the payment side, additionally, for SaaS companies that help those fintech products, I mean, that's where I'm at. So I definitely see a lot of opportunity there. Maybe not to directly offer those financial products, but to help those financial products. We've seen a lot of SaaS in the US and not so much in the region. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for newcomers to adapt products that are in other regions to adapt to the Latin American market.
Understood. Yeah, but looking at the Brazilian reality, we are seeing a maturity stage right now. So we have some big names. Everyone knows Nubank, for example, and they are turning into very huge platforms. You know, Nubank is going beyond banking, is stepping into also the telco space. So with also the remittances, they created a global account in partnership with Wise in Brazil. So it's just like this movement of, okay, we see players that are getting big, are created their ecosystem, and are getting bigger. So they're turning into like full-fledged platforms. So,
I mean, but I definitely see a lot of opportunity for newcomers.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of room to grow for companies like Nubank as they can expand into other like subsectors of what they are already doing, like you mentioned. I see a lot also Nubank is doing through a third-party remittances in Mexico.
With Wise. No, in Mexico.
In Mexico, Mexico with Felix Pago.
Yeah, because it's a game of ecosystem building, right? So you need the trust, you need engagement into this ecosystem, data, and you need partners to like populate this space, and that's what we're seeing with these big names like Nubank. What other trends you see for 2025?
I mean, hopefully some more investments. And I wanted to maybe moving to that, Bruno, what do you think? Is the winter over in Latam? Are we going to still see only a few investments every quarter? What do you think is going to happen on that side?
Well, nice one. We heard yesterday from the president of the New York Stock Exchange that we are about to leave the winter, the fintech winter that's been around for like 2.5 years, something like that, and we are entering into the spring, right? We start seeing that in Brazil as well, because we like this year, some companies like we have Asas, which is a player focused on SMB. They are creating a platform, like a full-fledged platform, to offer services to SME. They already do a lot of services, but they want to do like the operational system of those companies. They raised a big check. Contabilize, which is a company, is a platform focused on accounting for SMEs as well. So we saw those big those players receiving like big checks. Conta Simples, which is another SME. So a lot of things pointing to the SME sector as well, which is a cool trend. But there's another one which I believe you guys are into this trend, which is this trend of seeing this merge of different interfaces for people to do banking or to consume products and services. What's going on, especially in Brazil, we have some players exploring WhatsApp as a development like platform. So WhatsApp, Meta launched recently these WhatsApp flows, which basically the companies can build solutions inside the WhatsApp as a contact in WhatsApp. So there is a new player in Brazil called Maggie that created that. They created this whole banking experience to WhatsApp. So people don't need to like download any app. They just have this contact on their WhatsApp, and there is an AI in which they talk to, so that because people are charged, oh, you owe me money, please send me money. They do that through WhatsApp. So what they're doing is commanding operations through this channel. And you guys do something like this, right?
Yeah,
Tell us.
I wanted to say I definitely see a lot of opportunity into companies in Latin America leveraging the WhatsApp penetration. There's over 90% of the population in Latam that uses WhatsApp, from anyone working in a company to the director of the company. Everyone's going to use WhatsApp. So, for example, in our case, or the employees of the company have a chat, which is the only thing that they will have. And on the other hand, the financial team will have a dashboard. But the experience for the employees is just a WhatsApp chat where they can communicate, send their tickets in order to get that expense into the company and things like that. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of opportunity to leverage those tools to be able to grow, and it's a thing that everyone knows how to use.
Perfect. Also, before we continue, do you have any questions regarding what's going on in Latam? There are lots of opportunities. We know it's a promising space. I know some of you guys are from the region, but some want to do business in the region. So that would be a good chance to talk to both the Mexican view and Brazilian view from it. I don't know, guys, we have the box. Yeah, if anyone want to, yeah. Anyone want to like make a question or anything, please raise your hand. We're going to deliver this dice. Oh, someone there.
The dice is coming to you.
Perfect. Please stand up just for people to say your name and your question. We have lots of providers that are popping up in this field. But the thing is, Latin America is very complex when you're talking about QIC and all of that. So many of the tools that I see, they are localizing a lot of their solutions, and to coming to the Brazilian, especially Brazilian space, is a bit tricky. But anyway, do you have anything to complement on that, Danny?
Yeah, there's definitely, we've seen even some companies merging together. So we've seen a consolidation in this market in the past couple of years, especially in Spanish-speaking Latam. But there's definitely opportunity for improvement, for now introducing AI into those KYC and AML functions in order to make them better, make them even like everything that avoids fraud, since it's such a big pain in Latin America in general.
I've been witnessing a lot of collaboration as well. So we see like countries that are very strong on and QIC and onboard authentication, companies from Israel and places like that collaborating with locals. So we see things like that happening as well. So, any other questions from the audience? Please raise your hand and let's chat a little bit before we go. Okay, so Danny, proceeding here. What about the investment in the region? What do you see? What are your perspectives on that?
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about whether the winter was over or not. But what we see right now, at least what I see with the VC firms right now, is that there's a lot of dry powder. It's there ready to be deployed. I've spoken to a few of those Latin American VCs. They want to start making some deployments, hopefully soon. So I think there's money there to be deployed. Historically, most of the money has gone to fintech. Around between 50 to 60% of the investment, the whole VC investment has gone to fintech. So we don't see that changing in the next few years. And there's almost $4 billion of dry powder in the region. So hopefully we see a lot of investments in the next few months, I would say maybe first or second quarter of 2025.
Yeah, I'm very positive as well. We have other factors. We have like high interest rates and other things that are, which is one of the factors that why we're not in the fintech spring sooner, perhaps, is one of the reasons is that. But I'm very bullish in the region, especially looking, in the region we have big problems, and we have big problems. We also have big opportunities.
Exactly.
Talking about Brazil, I see lots of perspectives also in the crypto market. Things are improving there. We have regulation. We have talks and other secondary regulations around stable coins, which I think is going to boost the space here, especially for next year in Brazil. There's a new regulation coming also on the banking as a service space. There is DREX, which is the Brazilian CBDC, which is also progressing. We see lots of, we're in the second batch of the group of companies they are developing in beta with the central bank solutions based on CBDCs. So I see a bright future in the region. So opportunities abound, and let's see how it's going.
We normally see Brazil to be a bit ahead of the rest of Latin America. So hopefully, the rest of the region will go next with those kinds of regulations, which can definitely open up a lot of opportunities in the market.
Yeah. Well, any other questions, guys? Before we go, okay, here.
Yeah, maybe after that, we can start the networking part.
Yeah. Well, my take on that, on the open finance in the region is the regulatory process is not trivial. It's important that this whole open finance regulation is established before, and it's mandatory. So for me, that's one point. We already saw that in Mexico, things are kind of stalled. In Brazil, it's progressing. In Colombia, they also are creating this regulatory framework. But I believe from that point, and if it's something mandated from the regulator, it's easier so that if there are specific penalties and companies got to abide for that one important point. But interoperability for the region, which is another topic that people also discuss. There was a paper written by the IDB recently with the International Development Bank trying to, we have open finance as a discussion in the region, when we will see interoperability and things like that. And for me, that would be like a very advanced stage. I think that the region needs collaboration because we have different moments of the spectrum of evolution on open finance. So if Brazil can collaborate more and share all the things that went right with Mexico and other countries, is much better than something distant like UK, for example, from the Latin reality. But it's complex. but I still see some positive movements, just like with the Colombia and other countries like this.
Yeah, maybe just talking about Mexico, I think we will see a big change when it becomes mandatory. So until the regulators make open finance something mandatory for banks to give out the information, it's not going to become a reality. I know that Colombia started later than Mexico to regulate this part, and they are already ahead of us. So there's definitely opportunity there to be a little bit quicker and to put more pressure into the regulators for this to become a reality.
And there are other factors that we might consider that are not visible for most people. Like in many times which interacted with the regulators in Mexico, they kept changing people. So always new people. So it's hard for you to sustain like a long-term project like this when regulators are always changing people inside. So it's hard. That's one of the aspects. There are certainly more, but let's keep the faith on that. And then
yeah, definitely. And I think it's also our jobs as part of the fintech industry to put the pressure on the government and the regulators to change these parts. So
yeah, it's in the best interest of the newcomers than the incumbents, but we should keep strong. And I know that the association Fintech Mexico and all the players are pitching for that for years, and I had a chance to interact with them for years, and it's been a battle. Hopefully we progress. Yeah. One more before you go for the networking session. Okay. So I would like to thank you all for this opportunity to share a little bit about what's going on in LATAM. Hopefully you guys, which are here, I got the chance to talk to each other. I don't know how many Latinos we have here. Just raise your hand. Okay.
Great.
And people there are interested in Latin America, but they're not from Latin America. Okay. Fewer. Well, we got the chance. Now we know a little bit of the audience. So please, we had the chance, take the chance, this few minutes to chat, because we concentrated here most of the people that are interested in the subject.
Exactly. Get to know each other. We are all here to make some business. So make some business happen. Take advantage that we are all here together right now.
Yeah, and I'm very happy to see an increasing audience of Latin America Latinos here in the Money 2020. Hopefully we have more and more space in the event to share also everything that's going on and progressing of everything that just mentioned. And hope you guys enjoy the event, have fun. So see you soon.